When you stop caring, she starts chasing. The Stoic power shift. Most men never use. They told you to try harder. They told you to be patient. They told you to prove yourself. But what if I told you that the moment you stop caring, truly, deeply, stop, everything changes? Not just your mindset, but hers. The second you detach emotionally, a shift happens in the dynamic. A power most men never discover, because they're too busy chasing approval. But a Stoic man knows something else. That in stillness there is force, in silence there is dominance, and in walking away, there is absolute control. This is the truth no one wants to tell you. So if you're ready for it, comment below. My silence is my strength. And if you're tired of being emotionally played, hit subscribe now. Because this channel is where men come to reclaim their edge. Let's begin. Phase 1. Her confidence is a mask. You see her across the room, across Instagram, across the echo chamber of social media, and you're convinced. She's the real deal. Head high, lips painted, body posed like she's untouchable. But what you're witnessing isn't power, it's performance. Most men get hypnotized by surface-level confidence. They see a woman who walks like a queen and assume she must rule her own emotional kingdom. But the truth? Many of these women are building castles on sand. Their confidence isn't self-generated, it's constructed from the outside in. Every compliment, every double tap, every man orbiting her like a moth to flame, it's borrowed power. And like anything borrowed, it can be taken away. A woman who needs validation to feel worthy is not in control. She's dependent. Her image becomes the currency. And when that attention dries up, when the pedestal collapses, she's left standing in front of the mirror, unfiltered, unadored, and unsure who she is without the applause. Let me give you a real-life scenario. You text her every morning, tell her she's beautiful, check in. After her long day, you're consistent, loyal, available, and what happens? She starts pulling away. Not because you've done anything wrong, but because she expects that devotion. It no longer excites her. Then one day, you stop. Not out of pettiness, not out of revenge. You just realize you've been feeding a black hole with your energy. Suddenly the dynamic flips. Now she's watching your stories, now she's texting, "Hey stranger," now she's double tapping your photos. Why? Because the spotlight turned off. And when the attention dies, so does the illusion of her superiority, that ego she built on your praise. It starts to crack. Here's where Stoicism hits like thunder. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." The reverse is also true. If all you want is to be seen as powerful, you'll eventually feel like a fraud. Many women have not built their confidence through trials or hardship. They haven't bled for their peace. They haven't wrestled their demons in silence. You have. You've gone to war with yourself. You've rebuilt your mindset. You've learned how to walk alone without begging for attention. So ask yourself, why would you hand your strength to someone who only feels strong when others are watching? Her confidence is only intact as long as men are willing to kneel. The moment you stand up and step away, she's forced to see the truth, that the power she thought she had was never really hers. It was yours, reflected in her mirror. And when that mirror shatters, that's when the real chase begins. Phase 2. The void eats at her ego. When you walk away from a woman, not in anger, not in bitterness, but in silence, what you leave behind isn't just a gap in her contact list. You leave a void in her ego. She doesn't just miss you as a you. And she misses the way she felt when you looked at her like she was rare. She misses being admired without needing to earn it. And most of all, she misses being the sun in your sky. That pedestal you once placed her on? She thought it was permanent. She thought you'd always orbit around her. But now that you've vanished from her emotional universe, she's left staring into a quiet space where her reflection used to bounce back with validation. And it stings. Think about it. How many men do you know who cave the moment a woman checks in? Who flinch the second she posts a picture in a tight dress or uploads a story full of forced laughter? She knows that playbook works on weak men. That's why she uses it. She's not texting "How are you" because she cares. She's doing it to measure your weakness. She's not watching your stories because she's curious. She's watching to see if you still care. But the Stoic man, he doesn't chase breadcrumbs. He watches the test unfold without taking the bait. Epictetus said, "It's not things themselves that disturb us, but our opinions about them." The Stoic man has already trained his mind to see past illusions. He knows attention is currency, and he's stopped spending his. This is the shift most men never reach, because it takes discipline not to react when the bait is dressed in temptation. It takes strength not to reply when your heart wants closure. But when you don't engage, when you don't break, she starts questioning herself. Not because you played her, but because for once, someone isn't falling into her orbit. And that's terrifying for someone used to being adored. She'll paint her lips brighter. She'll post the thirst trap hoping it punches you in the gut. But when you don't even blink, that's when the psychological tables turn. You're no longer the man chasing. You've become the one she now tries to understand, win back, decode. You've become the mystery. And brother, nothing pulls harder on a woman's ego than a man she can't figure out. That's when everything flips, and the power is back where it belongs, in your hands. Phase 3. You become the obsession. There's something magnetic about a man who's no longer available for drama, validation games, or emotional chaos. When you stop chasing, stop overgiving, and start investing that same energy back into yourself, something powerful happens. You become rare. And in a world addicted to attention, rarity breeds desire. Men who constantly chase become white noise, predictable, disposable. But the man who steps back, not out of spite, but from clarity and self-respect, he becomes unforgettable. He becomes the one that haunts her thoughts, not because of what he did, but because of what he didn't do. He didn't beg. He didn't plead. He simply walked away with his dignity intact. That kind of emotional control is rare. That kind of restraint is masculine power. Let's bring this down to real life. Maybe you were dating a woman who always expected more time, more attention, more patience. You gave it, and she still pulled back. So one day, you just stopped. You didn't argue, you didn't explain, you just redirected your focus. You started hitting the gym harder, building your career, sleeping better, dressing better. You didn't block her. You just became unreachable. A month later, she's in your DMs saying things like, "I miss us," or "I just wanted to check in." Why? Because your absence exposed her dependency. She didn't miss you. She missed who she was when she had your attention. This is what Stoicism teaches us at the core. Control yourself and you control the game. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." And living doesn't mean orbiting around a woman's emotional weather. Living means grounding yourself in your mission, your values, your silence. When she feels your absence, not your anger, not your desperation, she is forced to confront her own reflection. And sometimes that reflection is unbearable. Here's the cold truth, brother. When you stop giving her the attention she used to take for granted, you either expose her growth or her need for constant validation. Some women can't live without being the center of attention, so they move on to the next guy who will give it. Let them. That's not your woman. That's not your problem. That's a girl playing emotional hopscotch to avoid facing her own hollowness. But the ones who do return, humbled, softer, and more emotionally present, those are the ones who felt your absence like a thunderclap. They didn't come back because you manipulated them. They came back because they saw something in you that forced them to grow. You didn't chase. You didn't play passive-aggressive games. You simply stood tall, grounded in your worth. That's not a tactic. That's truth. That's discipline. That's being a man. So remember this. The strongest move isn't to win her over. The strongest move is to walk away without needing to be understood. That's the difference between emotional weakness and stoic masculinity. And that, my friend, is the greatest flex of all. Becoming a man she remembers not because you tried, but because you stopped. Conclusion. Control yourself. Control the game. Seneca said it best. He who is brave is free. But this isn't the kind of bravery they sell you in movies. It's not about fighting dragons or sprinting into danger. It's about something much harder. Walking away from someone you once cared for in complete silence. No screaming, no last message, no chasing after closure, just walking. Not because you stopped caring, but because you started caring more about yourself. Think about it. How many men stay in situations that drain them just because they're afraid to be alone? How many bend, break, and betray themselves for a woman who wouldn't cross the street to save their soul? There is no bravery in clinging, but there is immense strength in stillness, in the ability to step back, to breathe, and to say, "This isn't serving me anymore." That is masculine maturity. That's what separates the reactive boy from the grounded man. Let me give it to you straight. Imagine a guy who gave everything to a woman. He planned the dates, sent good morning texts, built her up when she was down, and one day she ghosted him, just vanished. He could have begged, he could have lost his mind, but instead he said nothing. He hit the gym, he built his business, he poured into his purpose. And months later, she reached out, not because she missed the chase, but because she felt the void of his value. That's what happens when you withdraw your energy, not to play games, but to return home to yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." So stop giving her that power. Stop acting like her presence defines your worth. Your discipline is your advantage. Your indifference is your liberation. Because the truth is, when she knows you can walk away at any moment without blinking, you stop being predictable and start becoming unforgettable. So let her wonder. Let her feel your absence like a cold wind. Let her sit in the silence you used to fill. And you? You stay grounded, you keep building, you keep rising. Because the man who doesn't need her is the one she'll never stop thinking about. Let that sink in, because this world doesn't need more men chasing illusions. It needs men chasing legacy. So, if this message hit your chest like truth, like the damn reminder you needed, hit that like button. Subscribe for more Stoic fire. And send this to a brother who's stuck in a loop. Help him wake up. Because this is your time. Not to chase, but to conquer yourself. Stay sharp, stay stoic. I'll see you in the next one.